today, to give you a bit of an overview of what we're going to cover, we are looking at wellness and well-being and how you can also add value to your customers' lives on social. Getting your products out there physically in your place can actually drive awareness. So it's about how you can use the physical and digital and sort of combine them. How to be inclusive in a really authentic way, especially on social media, because everybody knows. And then how life hacks can support your products and your brand.
Awesome. I love a life hack.
Oh, who doesn't? Honestly, I'm always looking for stuff.
Okay, let's get into it.
Fantastic. So for those of you guys who don't know, this is the Maybe dashboard, and what we do is we help you get better at social. We collect all the data for millions of businesses across the UK. We pull it all together here on a dashboard for you, and you get to choose one business that you want to either draw some inspiration from, or that you as a main competitor, and you get to compare all your stuff to them on a weekly basis on your dashboard. And then you can even now schedule your content in. You can view other people's content. You can monitor your ad spend. You can do pretty much everything all on this one dashboard. So if you haven't gone in and got your account, please go in and do it. And then you'll know what we're talking about when we're on here.
Amazing.
So I'm going to start with a really, really lovely one, actually. So this is Rituals Cosmetics. So if you don't know who they are, and they're inspired by the wisdom and ancient traditions of Asian culture. So they've created extensive collections of very luxurious, but for them affordable products for the home and body. So their whole ethos is all about enriching your life, and it's using things like signature fragrances that are designed by sort of world perfume experts, and everything is all about sort of being ethical, looking after the mind, the body, the heart, the soul, the well-being sort of thing. So it's, you know, the full experience in your home. So your external and then your internal as well. So and if we click on the post, what you'll see is actually a little campaign that they're doing at the moment, which I absolutely loved. So as I say, their focus is obviously, you know, their business. They want to sell products, right? But they need to, in order to sell products, they need to connect with people on a much deeper level because of their ethos, which is all about that head, heart, body, mind, connecting everything all together, right? So this is a post that they did. It's one of their best posts over the last couple of weeks. And this, it looks like just your average find the positive in every moment generic quote, right? But it's not. What this is them talking about a masterclass episode. So this is a series of masterclasses that they are doing with a podcaster, blogger, and author who, again, is all about mindfulness, well-being, looking after your inner self. And basically they've teamed up with this person, and what they're doing is they're doing a series of masterclasses, which they're pushing out on social media, primarily actually on stories, which is quite interesting. And they are really going hell for leather on promoting it physically on their Instagram on the lead up to it. Then when it goes live, they promote and push the person back to their link. And then this is the next bit that they do, which is once it's gone live, they do another post to say, if you haven't watched it, or if you have watched it, you will know that the top tip for happiness is by transforming the bad into good. With each negative thought, find a positive to counteract it. Comment a negative thought that you've had today and the positive one that you've used to counteract it. So what I love about this is it's various things. So the fact is they have created a series that is all about, I guess, well-being, right? So it's all about being happier in yourself. So it's not about selling their product, but it actually does promote their product, and actually does promote it because ultimately that is what their entire brand is about. So it's really easy for them to add value, and that's what this is about. They have created these masterclasses to add value to their existing customers who, you know, everybody goes through rough times. And for them, it's about recognizing that, giving them some added value by working with somebody who can provide that value, because they don't. They work with an expert to provide that. That's what this person does. And then that naturally promotes their products to this author's readership, to their followers on podcasts and all that kind of thing. So if they haven't heard of Ritual Cosmetics, they now will. And then vice versa. If they hadn't heard of the author before, then they might be more inclined to go in and buy the book. So it's a really, really good collaboration. And it's a sort of classic example of how you can really work digitally with anyone around the world if it's all about enhancing or giving value to your existing customers. And then I think what's also really nice about it is that they've asked people to do a thing. So they've asked people to comment on a negative thought that they've had that day, which again might be, controversial on social media. And then the positive one that you use to counteract is they're asking people for the negative and what they've done for the positive. And again, it's making you then want to go back and it's making people, I guess, want to go back and look at the episode, because then they've done the link in the bio. Now, as you might have just seen, there's various kind of comments that people are going to put on any kind of national or international brands Instagram. But for me, what this is about, it's about a business that understands their customers, that understands that they need to add value to their customers in order to be authentic, and their authenticity is all based around well-being, wellness, and looking after yourself. They've teamed up with somebody who can provide that ethos and sort of bring it to life, if you like, in a series of top tips. They've only promoted it really on social media, and they've only shown snippets. So if you actually go into their Instagram, you'll see that they've got like little snippets of it, but they don't show the full thing. What they say is either go to the link in the bio to go and watch it, or you'll see that what they do is they tell you to go and watch their stories. So if we scroll a little bit further down, and then you'll see that post comes up in a second that we were just looking at, which is the little quote. There we go. So the day before that, you'll see day 3, down there, you'll see day 2, why we should all tap into our feminine side. So these have all been turned into like little snippets. And then when you click on those videos, they tell you to go and watch the full thing in their story. So it's very much of the minute. It's very much telling you to go and watch it now, so that, you get that full episode, if you like. Link in the bio and in stories. There you go. So you can see that out of one, I assume, big take of doing like a series of little interviews, if you like, with somebody, they've then got so much video content out of it. They've done a series of posts on each of it. So say they were doing 5 days worth of masterclasses, that's 5 days worth of content plus the days in between where they're pre-promoting that the content's coming, and then they've got the content off the back of it. Then guess what? They're asking people to do something, aka, I don't know, but this one it might be, how do you feel about embracing the power of the feminine in its role, whatever it might be, right? You're asking people to tell you a thing. You then always have all of those comments that you can then reuse and use further down the line. And then, of course, you've got all this great content that you can cut up into lots of little snippets. Now, I get that they're a big brand, but the reason why I'm showing you this is because this is not difficult to do. Yes, they've got, a production team that have pulled this together, but linking up with another business that can provide something positive for your, and helpful and of value to your clientele is dead easy. It is so easy. So if I was, I don't know, I might be a wedding florist, why wouldn't I want to go on and link up with a wedding makeup artist and talk about the top tips for choosing the right makeup for your wedding, for example? Is that going to sell me my wedding flowers right now? No, but do you know what it's going to do? It's going to add value. It's going to create trust. It's going to provide authenticity, because they know that, as with a wedding or something like that, a big event, all of those different things work together. They don't work in silos. They all work together. It all has to be perfect. And then as the florist, my then posts and things will be coming up to that wedding board and to the makeup artist. She'll be sharing my stuff, or he, and then they then will also get the shares from the other side of it. So it's building both your businesses, and guess what? You're much more likely to get sales out of that, because maybe people following the makeup artist didn't know about the florist, and vice versa. So that's a small example, but there's literally no reason why any business couldn't do something like this. It's about collaboration, but first and foremost, it's about knowing who your customers are, and then understanding what their pain points are, and then how you can solve them in different ways. And that isn't always just yourself. That is sometimes by bringing in other people to add a bit of value. Don't know if you've got anything to add on that, Amy.
I really like the way they're using expertise, and exactly as you said, there's no reason why anybody can't replicate that. And I also like the way they're using the content in multiple ways to really get the most out of it.
Sorry, I've just heard Elaine saying that the chat's disabled. So if anybody does have any questions, if you just pop on to the Q&A, then we'll answer on the Q&A. So thank you, Elaine, for letting us know that. But yeah, no, I love this. And I think that there's lots that we can all learn from that.
And also just asking people to comment and things like that and share their own experiences.
Yeah, it is.
That's a lovely positive way to start the day.
Oh. And so I guess on that, so continuing with that topic, so we all know that, you know, you cannot look at Instagram, you cannot look at a magazine, you cannot listen to anything without people talking about overall wellness, mental well-being, emotional health, all that kind of thing, because I think really off the back of the last 2 pretty difficult years, we've all realized actually we've got lots of different things that we need to look after, not just our physical bodies, but we need to look after lots. So lots of different coaches, lots of different businesses, lots of celebrities, lots of huge products now do add value to their clientele, even if it's got nothing to do with, or seemingly nothing to do with their business. You might be a coffee brand, it doesn't matter, but everybody, every single one of your customers still has problems, still has day-to-day stuff that they need to deal with. And ultimately anything that you can do to lighten their load a little bit, even if it is just making them smile, works really, really well on creating that connection, particularly on social media. So what I wanted to show you here was that you can go on to the Maybe platform, and you can look up hashtags that are relevant to that sort of thing. I mean, I literally to put in hashtag wellness. Now that will have millions and millions and millions of different pieces of content, right? But you can get much more, I guess, tailored to maybe your particular customer. It might be wellness for mums. It might be mental health for men, for example, right? It just depends on who your customer is. But those hashtags exist, and they exist for a reason. They exist because people are searching for them. People are looking for a thing to do with that topic. The same way as you'd be looking for, I don't know, hashtag dog walks Cotswolds. It doesn't matter. It's about the fact that hashtags are searchable. Hashtags give you all of the content in one place that are around that particular thing. So if I was any business, to be honest, in this day and age, people are still struggling. People are particularly struggling again at the moment. So it's thinking about, well, what can I do? What content can I share? What can I find that might add a little bit of value or brighten up someone's day? So if it might be that you don't feel particularly creative that day, or it might be that actually you just don't have a huge amount of time, looking through these hashtags, adding it to your Maybe platform, you can literally go in there and you can take some of their content. It might be from another business, it might be from a brand, it might be from a celebrity, it might be from a magazine, it doesn't matter, but it might be something that speaks to you, therefore is likely to speak to your customer, and you can go in and you can reshare it. But then also you can get inspiration as well through these hashtags, and you might then start using those hashtags yourself. If you start doing these kind of things, you can start using those hashtags yourself, and then you'll start coming up in that content, and you might become quite well known within maybe your area for giving that type of I guess support, if you like, to your customers. But no business, I guess, these days can get away with it, with I guess just being salesy. I think it's all about driving genuine connection between a business and people, and the best way to do that is by creating that kind of authentic connection. And the best way of doing that is actually by thinking about what people are actually dealing with on a day-to-day basis. I don't know if you've got anything to add to that, Amy.
No, it's a great tool, being able to add the hashtags that you want to keep an eye on. I recommend it to everyone. And also just obviously hashtag wellness is a huge conversation. So there's no reason why you can't use, say, hashtag wellness Manchester and localize those hashtags just so that you've got an opportunity to cut through in a decent sized conversation, but one where you're not trying to cut through, you know, a million other pieces of content.
Yeah.
Lovely
Right.
forums. I
Slightly
love social
different
media.
one. I know. It's just the best, honestly. You can just jump from topic to topic so easily. Right. So good old Fortnum's, right? So why am I talking about Fortnum's? Again, we did say this was the best of nationals, but this is because I always pick something that any business, any council, any place, any type of body, if you like, can emulate. So Fortnum's, what they're doing here is they're showing off their, if you look at the bottom, so that is their absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous takeaway cups, right? And they also sell some really delicious different types of teas. And what they're doing here is they have taken a picture of them on tour, if you like, but basically they're in a place and they're just saying, they put hashtags Fortnum's tea, so that's their hashtag for their business. Can you guess which city we're sipping it in? And then they've added in some like quite general hashtags is what I would say, to be fair, but they've of course added in their own, and they're big enough to be able to add in their own, and people will be searching for them because they're quite an iconic brand. However, what I love about this is you're looking at it and going, right, okay, come on, I recognize some of those buildings and people are commenting. So you can't tease us with a pic from here and not open a store, please. My city, New York, the Big Apple. So lots and lots. They've got like 2,919 likes, and it's not doing anything really. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not really a massive campaign. It's just, you know, they're literally out having their tea with their branded cups. They've taken a picture. I mean, quite literally any business could do something like this. This is not rocket science. And that's why I absolutely love it. It's so, so clever because any business could do it. So if you were in, where was I yesterday? I was in Northampton yesterday, right? I could have done this in Northampton. As any business, I could have, especially like if I sold a thing, maybe a branded product, might have been a branded bag. It might have been, I don't know, you might have had a pint somewhere. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's the fact that you're out, you've taken it out, you sat out somewhere, maybe showing an iconic building within the area. It might be a statue. You know, I'm thinking about like Edinburgh, for example, just now, lots of iconic statues. It might be outside, I don't know, a really famous pub. It might be in a really cool park, or it might be that there's an event going on in your area and you're just taking your branded items out there. And it might just be that you're having your lunch. It doesn't really matter the reason why you're doing it. The point is that content can be created, and good content can be created from anything, and it is just from really, really, really simple ideas. And so if you want to promote your physical product, take it out with you into your area. It's not all about, you know, being in your shop or in your restaurant or in your you know, in your bar, whatever it might be. This is about actually taking something out there and showing off where you are, because guess what, anyone, if say it was Northampton as an example, if you are a sandwich bar in Northampton, and especially in like the main sort of town centre, if you are a restaurant, if I'm someone that's in that area, I want to know that you're there. And what cool way of, better way of engaging me is to let me sort of see, oh, you know, I'll guess where that is, or that might be, or do you know what, my friend lives down the road from there, and then they tag in a friend. That's the idea behind all of this. So it's about getting your product out there in a slightly more interesting way than just showing a picture of the cup. B, it's about creating that engagement. So it's allowing people to, especially, you know, people are flicking through Instagram because they're a lot of the time they're bored. They're sitting on their lunch break. They're looking for something interesting to look at. Why not get them to engage and go, oh, I guess where that city is, or I guess where that place is, right? And then it's also about, I guess, showing off your place and actually getting involved. So it could even be that you tag in the park. You know, it might be that, say you're in a park, you tag it in afterwards to say, guess what, 20% of people were right, we're actually in here, but lots of people guessed wrong and thought we were here, you know, like made a bit of a joke about it. There's lots of content you could create from afterwards. But essentially, take your cup, take it outside, show people where you are. That's you know, it's so simple, but it's really, really clever.
And so important for celebrating your local place as well.
I know, you know, we might not all be in New York, but we've all got lots of things to celebrate about our local area. I know that, you know, I'm in Aylesbury, and there's plenty around here that where people would instantly recognize it. And again, that triggers conversation and it triggers nostalgia as well for a lot of people.
Yeah, and relatability.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, no, it's a lovely one. I really like it. Now, this is very, very different, and I'm going to talk a fair bit about this. So if you, again, I say this every week, it's like if you've been hiding under a rock and you haven't seen any social media all week, so Gymshark have created an absolutely humongous campaign in the last week, and it's because they wanted to show that they are inclusive in quite literally every single way when it comes to their fitness brand. So for a fitness brand, it is usually really, really difficult to be actually inclusive for body shapes, types, sizes, shades to suit skin tone. And it's something actually a lot of sports brands that I'm not going to mention, but huge sports brands have landed themselves in massive hot water with things like mannequins saying something's plus size and it's actually just a regular person size, or saying something's curvy and then looking at the thing and going, I mean, is that? So things like that can land you in a lot of hot water and be really controversial. So for a brand like this, they have to be super careful that if they're going to do this, they're going to do it properly, and they're going to make sure that they are covering every single base when it comes to it. But ultimately, what they wanted to do was to create a range that actually is inclusive for women of all shapes, all sizes, all backgrounds, all skin types, all skin tones, all ethnicities, all abilities as well. And I think they have shown that really, really well in this image. So if we click in, you can see their Instagram, and basically their Instagram is full of this, and it all kind of, they did some little sneak peeks on the lead up to it, and then they did the launch, and they've shown it in different ways. So some of the images are like this with everybody in it, all the models in it. Some of them, and as you can see, this is saying that it's launching. So this was the pre-launch. And what they put in it is new neutrals that are made for your skin shape, skin tone, all that kind of thing, for lots of different people. And as you can see, every woman in there is completely different shape, from different backgrounds, all of different, as I said, even different abilities and things like that. And I think it is a really, really, really important image, and it's a really important statement for a fitness brand to make, because the big thing that most people have with gym with fitness wear, if you like, especially for women, is that it's really difficult. Sometimes it is difficult if you are pear-shaped or a different shape, or again, something to suit a skin tone and things like that. Or again, something if you have a disability, for example, how do you make sure that leggings work or shorts work or that kind of thing? So it's making sure that they are actually in an image representing who their actual customers might be. And that's what this is all about to me. So I think for me, it's about, it represents opportunities for brands or any businesses to show that they are genuinely inclusive. So but I think that anybody can do this on even a smaller scale. So it might be that actually you really, really cater for over 50s at your restaurant, for example, right? It could be that you have particular facilities that look after a certain age range or a certain demographic. For example, it could be mums, could be that you've got pushchair access for things, and you've got breastfeeding area, and you've got this, and you've got that, and you've got the other. Anybody can show that they are being genuinely inclusive, even if it's not to everybody. It might be to a niche market or a specific corner of the market, but that's okay. It's about actually shouting about what you do and being proud of the actual steps that you've taken to be, whether it is, a lot of shopping centres have done like dementia awareness, for example, and, they've done full training with all their staff and really showing that actually, that if you are a dementia sufferer, then you can come in and feel comfortable here because of X, Y, and Z, or anybody caring for that dementia sufferer. So what I'm showing you with Gymshark, this is them going the whole hog. This is a massive, massive, massive brand, multi-millions of pounds. They can do this. I'm not saying you have to do this. What I'm saying is that if something's important to you and it's important to your customer, and actually you're already doing a bit of it, there's no reason why you can't talk about it and talk about how important it is to you. But it is about making sure that whatever it is you're doing, that you're being genuinely authentic with it. Because even with this, if you scroll down, you will see varying comments, and that's what I think is really good. So I think they have had some negativity about it, and they have replied to them, which is what I absolutely love about it. So most people have said it's beautiful, I love it, get that in my basket sort of situation. People really have bought into it. Some haven't, and then they've done a really big comment that's slightly further up, and it's just saying, for those who need reminders, we're proud to feature, they're getting behind it and going, do you know what, you have your opinion, that's absolutely fine, but this is how we feel, and this is why we did it. We want to thank all our models. These are all models that were chosen for a campaign. They didn't have to do it, they chose to do it, they got involved with it because they believed in it. So I think what I really, really like about it is a few things. An image speaks 1,000 words, right? So that image is going to be iconic for this brand, and that image tells you, without actually even reading it, exactly what it is they're doing. It's obvious, right? The second thing is about the actual content. They have done content on the lead up to the launch. They've done content, little snippets on the lead up. They've then done the launch, and then they've done the post. And then they've made sure that every single comment has been replied to, everything's been liked, everything's been engaged with, because to them it's an important thing. It's not just, you know, they've not just launched a new random collection. This is something that is big for them as a company. So they want to make sure that they are engaging with absolutely everyone. And that's had 42,500 likes. Think of all that engagement, think of all the content that they have to keep on top of, and they've been doing it. So I think really, really well done to them. I think what it shows me is that there is a space that I don't think all businesses actually use properly, and it is actually shouting about the stuff that is important to them and the little things that you might be doing to actually be either inclusive or to be more ethical or to be I guess more, it might be more mindful, as we talked about earlier on, or it might be about helping a specific type of customer or focusing on a niche part of the market that maybe needs a bit more support than others to you. So I think anybody can take a lot of inspiration from this. It is about looking at what you do as a business and thinking about, how can I support this? How can I promote this? How can I make sure that people understand that, you know, this is a safe place for them to come if you are X, Y, and Z, for example, or it might be that you're a fashion brand and you do something similar like this, I don't know. But whatever it is, whichever market it is that you're looking at, genuinely think about it and think more Gymshark. Think, do you know what, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it properly. And you can do a whole campaign around it. It's amazing.
I think that's really key there, the talking about doing it properly. I think, you know, as you said, this has had over 43,000 engagements, and they've made sure that they're replying to everything because they're walking their talk. Yeah. You know, they're not just saying, oh, we've come up with this collection for profit. They are walking their talk and genuinely committing to, this is about inclusivity.
Yeah, I love it. And I think that what you'll find as well is, this might be Instagram. You go on their LinkedIn, their founder, their brand person, their merchandisers, quite literally every member of staff that has a LinkedIn is talking about this campaign, and they're all talking about it in their own way. It doesn't feel some of it, obviously from the CEO and things like that, it's going to be a bit more corporate, but from other people, it is what their take on it is and what their experience of developing it was. And again, that also speaks volumes as well, that if you've got your buy-in from your team, your staff, whether you've got 3 people that work with you or 103 people that work with you, it doesn't matter. If you've got buy-in on this and that everyone truly believes in it, and as you say, Amy, that they're all walking their talk, then I think that's where the magic happens, and that's where, you know, you really truly go, do you know what, this is a brand that knows exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then with that, then Gymshark are obviously going to get loads and loads and loads of chatter. Bear in mind that was one post, never mind the hundreds of other ones that they've done on this stuff, and the fact that they've done it on lots of different channels. So a really good way for anybody, if you're doing a campaign, particularly if it's something that's a wee bit controversial or that's something really exciting and you've got like a big launch happening, a really good way of keeping on top of it is on your Maybe platform. You can go to your dashboard and go to mentions, and you can look at anybody who has physically, so you can look at comments where people have like commented on your post, which is great. But what I wanted to point out was actually mentions. This is where people have basically gone and talked about you, if you like. So they've tagged you or they've talked about you, and that is where, again, that magic happens. That's where you don't miss a trick. You don't miss an opportunity to engage with someone. It might be that they've talked about you in a positive way. It might be that they haven't. It might be they've asked a question, but they've done it on a wrong place on a different post, or someone else has mentioned you somewhere and it's gone in, you know, it's, you know what it's like, it disappears into cyberspace. This keeps it all on track without you having to go between Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's all there, and it means that you can get involved in that conversation. You can like it, you can assign it to a team member if you don't want to deal with it, someone else needs to, or you can do a little alert to it. But ultimately, for someone like Gymshark, they have to keep on it when people are talking about them. So people are talking to you, and this is people talking about you. And you want to keep on top of both of those. And a great way of doing that is through this section of the platform.
Absolutely.
And then this is my little life hack one, and I just really liked it. We talk tons about Aldi all the time. We're always talking about Aldi, Lidl, all those kind of ones. And actually, Asda are really strong with their marketing, and they probably don't get enough mention. And I think that one of the things I really liked about this one is everybody loves a life hack. And there's no better way of a brand adding value to their customers and giving them something helpful, which is no different really to what I was talking about in the beginning with Rituals, except instead of it being about, I don't know, a top tip on well-being, this is actually about basically how to keep your berries for a bit longer. But guess what, they're a supermarket brand, so it has to be relevant. So that's what I'm saying, it has to be something that will your customers can identify with. So what this is a little helpful hack that helps you, and it's a 2 seconds, and it helps you keep your berries for a little bit longer. And they've got the video, and then they actually explain it in the content as well, as you can see. And then it says, you're welcome. Got a hack that you think we should know about, tell us in the comments. And then you've seen the types of people that are applying cold pressed juices. So they're obviously a juice company, and they're one of the first ones at the top to respond, which I really, really like as well. So it shows you that businesses are kind of going, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. And again, if they're cold pressed juices, the likelihood is they're using berries, makes complete sense. And then you've just got lots of people just saying, I do the same with my lettuce, empty it into a tub, paper towel underneath. So again, people are adding in more top tips and more life hacks to it as well, which is brilliant. But ultimately, it is so simple. And guess what? They've used the hashtags, which is what I'm kind of going to talk to you about with this, is that if you don't have life hacks, again, this is going back to understanding your shopper. If you understand your shopper, you understand the kind of things that they'll be Googling, the stuff that somebody at 3 o'clock in the morning is sitting worrying about, popping into their head, or just something that will make their life a wee bit easier. Those are the kind of things that you can find life hacks for on social media. And the best way of doing that is doing exactly what Asda have done here. So they've done hashtag life hacks. So again, you could find anything on there, but there might be hashtag food hacks. It might be if you're a restaurant or a cafe or a bistro or whatever, something food hacks. And then they've looked at the other side of it. So this isn't about hacks. They've looked at how do you keep your fresh fruit for longer, essentially, which is all again about being more ethical and reducing waste. So they've looked at hashtag waste free and hashtag food waste. So again, that is going to attract people. People are going to be searching in that hashtag that are looking for hacks. They're looking for ways of keeping their fresh fruit for longer so that they don't waste them, so that they use them, or indeed people will be putting recipes in there for what they can do with, we've all seen recipes for a banana that's gone bad, for example, rather than throwing it out, this is what you can do with it, turn it into this, that, and the other. So for me, it is about a business understanding their audience, sharing something that's actually really, really simple. It's not going to sell them any more berries right now, is it? But it is about showing that they understand their shopper. It's a really simple little life hack. It's something that anybody could do. And it's just a nice little piece of added value. And they've asked their customers to do a thing. They've asked them to give their hacks. Everybody loves sharing their opinions on things, but they also love telling you what to do. They love it. People love going, oh, my granny used to say this, or my neighbor told me to do this with my baby, and blah, blah, blah. That's what people love to do. So let them. And that's how you get more engagement. That's how you get chatting to people. And again, I'd be going back in then to, I don't know what's her name, Claire, saying that she does that with the lettuce. I would be going back to her going from Asda, going, thanks, Claire, great tip. We'll share that next time. Little things like that go a long, long, long way. So yeah, it's really simple, but really clever. And again, as I'm saying, if you're looking for those hashtags, if you then go in and actually get involved in them, find ones that you can just save and you can just reshare. It's so simple.
I also really like with this one that they're using the food waste and the waste free hashtags. People there, obviously there's a big agenda around not wasting food. Also, we do have a cost of living crisis at the moment as well. So people might not be buying things like berries and little treats and things like that because they think, oh, they don't last, so it's not a waste. So it's a waste of money. And I think tapping into like how we can help customers make things last longer. So, but also from an environmental perspective, also not be wasting food. I think it's great that they've tapped into that as well.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And as you say, like, I think what's nice about it is that they're using, so the paper towel, they're using the punnet that the berries came in the first place. So it's not adding anything extra. So yeah, it works on all levels.
Good job, Asta.
So if you've liked any of that content and you maybe want to, I don't know, choose one of them to sit there and look at and get maybe some inspiration from, or you think, do you know what, I've got a baker down the road or a florist down the road that I want to compare my content to, you can literally go in and you can add them in now. So go in, add them into your dashboard, and then if you want to add any more, just click on the wee blue button and we will help you come up with some other options. But effectively, you can start right now and go in there and compare yourself to any competitor or any other business for free right now.
Yeah, you can. You always get one and then you can add more. And if you want a bigger plan, you can always talk to a member of the team.
So yeah, a little round up then, shall we? Right, so wellness, mental health, they're two huge topics. Why not support your customers on a deeper level? It doesn't matter what type of business you are. Everyone is dealing with something right now, in particular, as Amy just mentioned, the rather large economic crisis. There's lots of people that are worrying about lots of things. There's no reason why you can't give them a little virtual hug through social media. Also, remember, it doesn't have to be your content. If you're not feeling like it, if that doesn't feel like a bit of you, go in there, use those hashtags and find other people's content that you can use, because it'll only help them, it'll only help your customers, and it gives you a bit of extra shareable content that you can use, and it's only going to boost your connection with them anyway, and the algorithm on Instagram, for example. Get out and about with your product in your town or city if you want to make the most of the area and drive engagement. So it does both. It helps you be seen out and about in your area. You can tag in different businesses, different places, different things. It also then creates engagement on social media because people have got to guess where you're at or what you're doing, and it might just create a little conversation as well. And then be as inclusive as you can be and actually talk about it. So if you are doing a thing, talk about the thing, but do it properly. As we said earlier on, make sure that you're engaging with people's comments, you're taking things on board, make sure that you've got all of your bases covered when it comes to talking about it. But effectively, if you're doing something really nice for people, to help people, to talk about it. And then speaking of that, hacks are everything. So either get hacking, aka come up with your own, maybe ask your team, do some little reels or something like that, do your own. Or if you don't want to do that, share some. There are millions, absolutely millions, and they will, your engagement will soar. People will then reshare your stuff, and you will be thanked for it by the people who created the content in the first place, as long as you tag them in. So it's only good stuff.